Hello, Jet. It is going to be very hard not to say, hey, girl, because that's what's always in my head. No matter what comes out, that's what's always in my head. So we're going to do the best that we can do. Let me put this laptop on a charger so that it doesn't keep trying to go to sleep on me. Okay. Got my tea. Uh, you know the drill. I'm a creature of habit. Today's video is going to be a little more difficult. It's going to start on March 1st, 1994. I was living in Dallas, Texas. My dad was living in another city about a 3-hour drive away. And I got a call that said he was really sick and that they were sending him to Houston, which for him was about a 3-hour drive away. So I knew it was pretty serious. So that night I hopped on a bus, took the 4-hour ride from my house down to Houston. I got to the hospital. Immediately went to the ICU room. Saw my old man laying there. He was unconscious and he looked like he was in rough shape. So I couldn't stick around. I left, went down to the waiting room, started reading a book. And by now, family members start rolling in, and at about 8 p.m., it was time for visiting hours. I didn't go. Nobody asked why. They all understood. The thing is, there's a particular bond between a father and a son. The son gets all his concepts of strength from his father. To see his father, just completely incapacitated is, virtually impossible. It really, just takes the wind right out of you. I'm sure there is a analog to that in between a mother and a daughter, and I'm sure you know all about that. So, during the visiting hour, everybody was hanging out. My dad asked if I had made it because he knew I was on my way down. They told him yes. Patrick's down in the waiting room. And within 30 minutes, he was dead. I got the phone call. I was down in the waiting room reading fucking Dante's Inferno. And that began another chapter of my life right then. He probably could have held on longer, but every time his heart would fail, they were shocking him back, and after a while, he just told the nurse, "Don't do that shit anymore." So it was pretty much his decision. And after that, I went back home, thought about what I was going to do, and decided that fall of '94 I was going to start going to a university, and it was either going to be the University of Houston or the University of Alaska, of all places. I had a friend. He was an older gentleman, an old recovering heroin addict. His name was Bob. Bob said, "Look, wherever you go, your ghosts are going to follow you." So I decided not to go all the way to Alaska. I just went to the University of Houston. The first week I was there, this is fall of 1994, I got busted with a bag of weed in my pocket and promptly went to jail. I had nobody to bail me out, so I was there for about a week. It was horrible, but I survived. And so I started my 1 year at the University of Houston. I did not see too many classrooms, but I sure did drink a lot and use a lot of questionable illegal substances. Made a lot of great friends, made a whole lot of great memories, and at the end of that year, so now we're talking, summer 1995, I just moved back to Dallas to try to become more balanced, to try to get my snap back, if you will. Moved into the same apartments that I was living in before, went to work at the same place I was working at before, started dating the same girl that I was dating before, just trying to get some semblance of normalcy. but there was no normalcy to be had. My anxiety levels were absolutely through the roof. At U of H, I was, as a consequence of being arrested with the marijuana, I had to go talk to a therapist, and so he ran me through the battery of tests. The MMPI, the thematic apperception test, the Rorschach test, and all of them said the same thing: severe depression and severe levels of anxiety, like nervous breakdown levels. Um, Severe case of agoraphobia. It was really difficult to go outside unless I was intoxicated in some fashion. But I made it through there, and by going back to Dallas and getting back to a sense of normalcy, I was able to just kind of be at peace with myself. I was a virtual shut in for about the next 3 years. Just trying to recover, trying to heal my brain. I wasn't prepared. I was not prepared for what happened. And as I said, sometimes you think you have an infinite capacity for recovery and to handle things, but no, it is like a glass of water, and once that glass is full, that's it. The water spilling out on the table, and you are screwed. So. I did that for 3 years, and I was working with my friend Bob, and Bob noticed my condition. And he said, "Look, man, yeah, you're alive, but you're not living. You really need to, get on some meds or something." I told him, "Hey, look, there's a money problem here," and he said, "No, no, there's not. You give me $20 a week for the next 4 weeks, and I will take you to my doctor, and we'll take care of this." So I did. Went to his doctor. His doctor prescribed me some basic SSRI, and yeah, I got better. I got good enough that in 1997, I started back in college, the same little junior college that I was in when my father passed, and started working on an associate degree. I finished the 2-year associate degree in 2.5 years, while working full time. So I felt like that was quite an accomplishment. Graduated there in 2000. Promptly left the old company I was working for. I went to work for Texas Instruments. They are a semiconductor company. Their world headquarters is in Dallas. They do pretty much the same thing that they do at that other company where I met your friend Ian. Started working there, got a good job, landed solidly in the middle class, and yeah, started kind of living a somewhat normal life. But I didn't really like the side effects of the antidepressants, so I quit taking them. Um, so through that time, there were some years where I was drinking a bottle of wine every day, and then there were some years where I have a couple drinks on New Year's, and then when the next New Year's rolled around, I realized that I didn't have any drinks the entire year. So it was really up and down. I lost long, long stretches of time to depressive states. Um, and yeah, I stayed working at Texas Instruments uh, in that fashion for until 2009, I guess. And and of course, by now you know the story. I told you the story of what was happening in 2008 with the elections and all that, and how in 2008 I decided that I wanted to live somewhere other than Texas, and how in early 2009 the company I was working for laid me off, and how that turned into leaving Texas, the place that I had lived my entire life, and ending up in Portland, Oregon. That was an interesting trip. It took about 6 weeks. It's really only about a 3-day drive if you are, extremely motivated, but I took my time. I drove all over the country, visited people who I knew who didn't live anywhere near me anymore. Um, Went to L.A. I spent a week in L.A. just hitting museums and hanging out with a friend that I went to college with. Then eventually drove up to Portland. Stopped at this cheap motel room, sat on the bed, and looked in the mirror and asked myself what on earth I thought I was doing in Portland, Oregon. I knew nobody there, no family there, no nothing. I just drove up there and said, hey, here I am. Panicked for about a week and then started looking for an apartment. And the apartment led to a job, and yeah, everybody was happy. I was in the Pacific Northwest hanging out with all the hipsters, all the progressives. I liked all the educated people up there, and just it was a nice way of life. I loved the weather, and but then after I was up there for about 6 months, I got a phone call from a company back down in Texas, and they kind of made me an offer I couldn't refuse. It was like double the amount of money with the possibility of 3 times the amount of money. So yeah, I had no choice. So I said goodbye to Ian and everybody else at the company I was working with, and yeah, I went back to Texas. Stayed there in Texas for 6 to 8 months. At the time, I was rotating in and out of the Middle East, and I didn't really like the boss that I had there in Texas, so I talked to the bosses over in the Middle East and asked him if he had any work for me over there. He said, "Sure, come over here." So I rotated in and out of the Middle East for 5 years, from 2010 to 2015, and the cool thing about that was, as soon as they said, "Sure, you can work in the Middle East," well, as soon as they said that, I could live anywhere in the world I wanted to. So I went all the way back to Portland, Oregon. And yeah, living the dream. Sure, the flights were long, but hey, I was making good money and I was living in a nice place. So win and win. Did that till 2015. And I think I got some chamomile in my mouth, actually. But did that till 2015. Got tired of working in the Middle East. I came back to work domestic. And that's what I've been doing ever since. Still live in the Pacific Northwest. Great, great place. Moved out of the big city and ended up living in a small town. And yeah, somewhere around, what was that, 2011, so the year after I left Portland, that's when I came across your profile, and then a little while after that sent your friend request, and then a little while after that opened a channel of communication. This is what I did. I scrolled all the way back to the beginning, to the very first one, and the very first message I sent you was a picture somebody had drawn. It was like a mashup of Lana Del Rey, Frida Kahlo, and I think I think she might have been wearing a Daft Punk shirt or something. I can't remember. And yeah, that's how the ice got broke. But you know how the deal went over the years, and yeah. So here we are now. Granted, I left out a lot of stuff. The particular flavors of childhood trauma, the people that I knew throughout the time. But I'll tell more about that little by little. I'll just have to maybe write that down, like in a list. About the time I spent living in my car. The time that I had no house, but I lived in a tent by a lake, and there were a lot of interesting years. Had a lot of interesting experiences. Traveled back and forth from Mexico quite a few times. And yeah, so if there's anything that, glaring that I might have left out that you're interested in hearing about, just feel free to ask, and we can talk about just about anything. So I'm going to sign off for now because, yeah, this video is going to be hard to upload because of its size. But thank you for, thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. Just thank you. Goodbye, Jet.